The reason why Muslims want to share the message of Islam is pure and simple. We would like you to think about your own life and your destiny. And what do I mean by this? What is destiny? Many of you are living your life thinking, we do not have time to think about death. We do not have time to think about what comes after death. You are too busy and preoccupied living your life, seeking enjoyment, entertainment, pleasure and happiness. That seems to be the prime aim, intention and motivation of your current life. Isn't that true? Aren't you focusing your life to make it a happier one? You've lost a loved one. You've lost your job. You lost your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend. But it doesn't matter. You still want to what? You want to stop thinking about all of these sufferings, all of these unhappiness in your life. You still want to make yourself happier. Why is happiness so important? Why is happiness and comfort and joy so important to you? Are you going to live forever? If you are not going to live forever, why aren't you then thinking about the life which is so minimal in duration compared to people that have come before, hundreds and thousands of years before, and the people that will come after you? In this very few years of your life, could be 10 years left, it could be one day left for you, or it could be 20 years. But no one on this earth today who is alive will live for another 200 years. That's a fact of reality. So why do you die is the question that I want you to answer for your own self. Why can you not live forever? That's what you think. You think you can make your own rules to live your life. Isn't that what you think? You live a life of hedonism the way you want. You don't want to be constrained. You don't want to be bounded by rules and laws and regulations of God, your creator. You're too busy. Or is it you're too lazy? You don't want to be constrained by laws of a higher being, but you want to live your life by your own rules, by your own regulations. And if we were to get away, you will, many of you, break the laws of the land. If there's no one there, no police presence, no one to record you on your smartphones or your cameras, on the webcams or video cameras over there like that, you would even be ready to fulfill your desires, even if that action was a crime in the land. If it was a bank with open doors, no one there, cash machines open, money is just there for you, many of you will steal that money and walk away and run away because no one to watch you. If there is a beautiful woman, for example, and there's no one there, and your sexual urge and desires overcome you, you will try to do that heinous crime. So many of you will, if there is no eye of the law, you will commit these crimes because you want to fulfill your desires. You want to pleasure your ego. So this is the reality. But if this is the case, why does your pleasure, why does your happiness not last long? You eat a cigar or a hashish or a marijuana or ganja, it doesn't last long. You drink and you immerse yourself in booze drinking. The pleasure doesn't last long. Does it? You go into unacceptable sexual gratification. It doesn't last long. The pleasure is not enduring. Why is it then? Why are you programmed in your body with those chemicals that's not going to fire constantly? And instead, what you realize is this: you have become the slave to your ego to such a degree that you need this constant firing by artificial means. For example, you are a married couple, and yet you don't find comfort and pleasure within your own selves. Why? Because you're constantly exposed with naked men and women around you, whether you actively seek to see them and watch them or not. You would go into websites where you will see this kind of activities people take to give you that sexual gratification. The website is a multi-billion-dollar industry because they know you are going to be their loyal customer. You will return again and again and again. So what you need is this, what we call the dopamine boost, because you know it's not going to last for you. You need another boost, and you will be constantly running. ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر. You will be constantly running for more and more in wealth, more in happiness, more in gratification of yourself, and so on. Fame, status, glory, money, wealth, likes in your social media. You will be constantly running for more. حتى زرتم المقابر, until you visit your graves. The death is inevitable, people. It will be the reckoning at that time, but it will be too late. So why do you die is the question. Why are you programmed to die? Those of you who are too busy thinking about God, thinking about the universe, ask yourself, why are you programmed to die? Why can you not live forever? Why? Your cells, as you age, they will go into all of this programmed cell death. Why are you programmed to death? Because there is a programmer. This program didn't just come by chance, because if it was by chance, then at least a lot of you will be living forever. The fact that everyone will taste death demonstrates to you this is a conscious, willing decision, a program by a programmer. Because if it was your mother nature, if it was the nature around you, which has supposedly through random mutations, without any intellectual design, without any purpose, has just brought about this reality of your death programmed in your cellular level, in your DNA. If it was the case, there will be by chance someone else who will be programmed not to die. So why do we have such an intricate, precise program, and who or what programmed it? Ask yourself. Those of you who don't believe in God, but you believe in evolution, you believe in evolution, you believe evolution did this. Why hasn't evolution made? Because it's not purpose driven. It doesn't have a mind, self-awareness or consciousness. So it cannot decide what would be the outcome. Because it is not a thinking entity. It doesn't think, it doesn't reflect, it doesn't have purposiveness. So why do we have a program? Evolution is a mechanism that will fail to you rationally to explain and answer this big problem that you are now facing. Death is inevitable. What happens when you die? I know you don't have time to think about it because you're running for pleasure and happiness and joy to fulfill your stomach and your private parts. That's what you're doing. But death will hit you one day, like it hit your friend and your family or your colleagues. And you woke up, but then again you forgot. The program that we have in this universe, I want to focus on one point. We have physical laws operating in this universe. These physical laws are not self-aware. They are not conscious. Then how do you explain these physical laws exert their effect in reality? You think you're smart and you call yourself atheists and agnostics? Ask yourself this question and provide us with an explanation which has power and merit and value and acceptability. Why do physical laws exert its effect when they themselves are not self-aware? Because physical laws are only operating under an instruction by an instructor, by a lawmaker. That makes sense. Otherwise, you will never be able to rationalize why there are physical laws in existence and how they exert their effect in physical reality. And you ask for proof for the existence of God? It's all around you. It's all around you. Subboor. It is all around you. So why are there people who still, knowing the evidence all surrounding them, do not want to believe in their Creator and want to run for their pleasure, satisfaction and gratification? Why, my brother Subboor?
You know, one of the questions I want us to consider that Brother Mansur pointed out in terms of the design that we see around us. Just down the road we have the British Museum. The British Museum has manuscripts from around the world, and if you want to publish a book on this island, that book will retain a copy at the British Museum. And a question I want you to consider is this: in every single cell of your body, there is more information than all of the information in the British Library. There are 3 billion letters in the DNA, and those 3 billion letters are being used to code for proteins that help you become into a human being that you are. So the question goes back to this, Mansur: how is it that we can live in such a grand universe where, to understand the complexity of a leaf, you will have to spend years and years studying, and you will still not be able to understand at a deep level how proteins fold in a leaf, yet we think we can deny God and we think we are rational?
So the question is inevitably, it's necessarily important. If we see the evidence all around us, and our Creator tells us, أَفِي اللَّهِ شَكْ فَاطِرِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Can there be a doubt in the existence of a God when He is the cleaver of the heavens and the earth, the separator of the heavens and the earth? You now know the heavens and the earth and everything that was there was not actually as it is separate. Did you know that? Our earth wasn't already like that. It was already mixed with everything else. So if this is the case, then how can you have a doubt on the one who separated it? How can you have doubt in the existence of our Creator? So when the evidence is all around you, all pervasive, and then you ask people, where is the evidence for God? What evidence will satisfy you people?
Absolutely. And the way to think about it is we often hear extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, don't we?
Absolutely.
That is something we hear often. So the extraordinary claim that the billions of letters of information in our DNA, that the structure of the universe, that the distance between the sun and the earth, the fine-tuning of the cosmos, the values, the morals, the ethics that human beings have, is all the result of blind, naturalistic, mechanistic, dead, non-conscious processes, is an extraordinary claim that requires extraordinary evidence, and the onus is on the one who claims this came by chance. And the ordinary claim of the ordinary evidence is that design refers to a designer.
When people study, you expect people to develop in their understanding, improve in their cognition of the reality, and appreciate what they are seeing, witnessing, observing. So once you see a single cell, a zygote, combination of male and female contribution, when they gather together to form a zygote, a combined singular entity, that starts dividing. In your earliest development as a baby, that's what you were, like a cell. You know what a cell is? Of course you do. This cell, the zygote, it starts dividing 2, 4, 8, 16 and so on. As it goes on dividing, what do we notice? Extraordinary precision and organization. What do I mean by that? As the cells start dividing, you find cells to form your heart. They start being cells of the heart. Cells that will make your skin, they start making more cells. Fine, we have a good ingredient now. We have cells eventually will make us a heart, and by the way, the cells which makes our heart, which is an organ, it's not same kind of cells that makes our skin. It's not the same kind of cells that makes our liver. So as these cells are what we call differentiating, they identifying themselves as the cells of the heart. So you have a lot of those cells now. How do the cells of the heart individually know? They have to travel together and find that place where the heart is going to be, and gather together, unite together, bond together, interact together to make that tissue of the heart and eventually the organ. Likewise, the cells that will make your skin, they don't go inside your heart because they have no benefit in there. They have benefits on the surface of your body. So they somehow know where to go. Exactly. Like if I tell you, you have to go to Birmingham, it's this number of street in that house. If you've never known where Birmingham is, you might end up in the USA.
Absolutely.
Somewhere else. And you might never know how to go there. I mean, come on, are you going to take a bus or a train or a car? Are you going to start walking thinking I will end up in Birmingham? You would have no idea. But the cells we observe, they know exactly where to go and end up like for like. The cells of the skin will come together and interact and bond and pass information so that they have this whole tissue forming together. They don't just simply jump around, fall off and go somewhere else. This happens to all the organs of your body. All the cells that make tissues of something eventually forms organs. Cell, tissue, organ, that's the order. How do they do that? Cells, do they have consciousness? Do they have a brain? Do they think? Do they know? They're only following instructions. And yet, when you observe these instructions in operation, you still are doubtful about the instructor. You still are doubtful about the creator, the designer who designed all of this, and you ask, where is the evidence? Where is God? It's all around you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your creator, tells us. Do they not see, which is even within themselves? سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق. God says we shall soon show them the signs, the wonders, the evidences, the miracles within the horizons and within themselves until it becomes clear to them this is the truth.
Absolutely. And brothers and sisters and friends, I want you to consider something. Today when you woke up in the morning, when you had breakfast, when you had your Weetabix or cornflakes or you had some fruit, you need to understand, for that to come to your mouth, it had to have a process which involved the bee. The bee, the humble bee that we see, the honey bee, the bee that goes and pollinates, is a miracle. And it's a miracle which Allah, God in the Quran points out. And I want you to consider something. There was a scientist at the beginning of the 20th century who was confused by the question that when bees leave their hive and they go and fly out, they go and travel very far distances to go look for nectar. And when they find the nectar, they come back to the colony. And there is some form of communication, because what the scientists called one fresh realized is that the other bees were headed in the direction of that nectar. So he wanted to find out what is happening with these bees. How do they know this particular nectar is 3 kilometers northwest of this location? How is it that the bee comes back and new bees may leave the colony 5 hours later and they will head in that direction? What is the communication channel? How is this information being transmitted? What he discovered is that when the bee comes back to the colony, the other bees observe it, and that bee starts to dance, and it dances in an 8 figure, and that dance has moves which convey information to the other bees. So the direction of the dance tells the bees the directions of the nectar. The duration of the wiggle tells them the distance to the nectar. Roughly 1 second of wiggle means 1 kilometer of distance. So the bees watching the new bee that came in will know that it needs to head out northwest 3 kilometers. But there's a problem. The problem is the sun is moving throughout the day. So if a bee leaves 3 hours later and the direction that it has in relative to the sun, it's going to be misguided because the sun has moved, so it'll go in a different direction. The system that God has created is such that there is a solar compass. There is a solar compass, would you believe it, within the bee, and it recalibrates the distance according to the time that it leaves the nest and it reaches the nectar and it comes back. Allahu Akbar is what Muslims say. God is great. God is the designer, and all of this around us. We see the birds in the sky. We see the trees around us. We see the amazing, walk past the shops on this Park Lane. You see a fruit shop. You see mangoes, you see oranges, you see bananas, you see watermelon, you see pineapples, you see all of this. This is all the result of an incredible process. What is it that generates this in front of our eyes? It's the water from the sky and the mud of the earth. Yet the variety of fruits is evidence. There is a creator, a provider, a sustainer that we need to be grateful for. And as Mansur pointed out, we ourselves in this life are chasing status. We are chasing money. We are chasing sexual gratification. We are chasing buildings. We are chasing cars and these lowly things. The greatest chase is the chase to have a relationship with God who created you, and the promise of God in the Quran. The promise of God in the Quran and the promise of the messengers of God is that true peace and happiness comes by having a relationship with God, not by chasing these things, because it's never made anyone happy. When have you ever heard of a celebrity who says, that's it, I have enough money, I have enough fame, I've slept with enough people, I am happy now, I am content? You never hear that. Instead they go into an addiction of drugs and gambling, and they are never satisfied.
Subhanallah. The reality is in front of you and you do not reflect. أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Would you not see? How can you be so much in negligence about your own life? How can you be so much in negligence of your hereafter? In negligence of your ultimate abode? Because you know very well death is not the end of your life, because you wish something forever. You wish there was going to be justice for the injustices committed. Do you think the people who commit injustice will get away? Even the very fact of justice tells you there has to be a day of judgment. You know in your heart that is what is the requirement of justice, and you believe in it even when you didn't know about it. When you were a 3-year-old and a toy was snatched from your hand, you started to do what? You cried and you appealed, give it back, it's mine, because you know inherently justice was violated. So justice is something all people know that is there, and we need to be sure that it is implemented in this life and in the hereafter. So in this life, where you see people are massacred, they're killed through infanticide, genocide, ethnic cleansing. Do you think they will get away because some people are silent? Because you are silent? Do you think they would not have their reckoning in the day of judgment for all the things that they have done? Of course, they will never get away from the justice of the Creator. So what we want to share with you is this. We want to share with you Islam. Islam is something that you already know within your own self. It is the inner recognition of the reality that there is a Creator and there is one and only Creator. And from that inner recognition, the next step of you making an assertion to be committed to this recognition, making the declaration that indeed, yes, of course, there is a Creator, and I have to submit and surrender to this Creator's will. And thirdly, the next step is to commit ourselves in our limbs, through actions of our limbs, by showing how we submit to the laws and regulations of our Creator. That is Islam. 3-level recognition and commitment in your heart, in your tongue, and in your limbs' actions. Islam is already in your body. Your body, your heart, your lungs, your stomach, Muslims already, because they follow the instructions, the rules of your Creator. You cannot say, let me stop breathing. Let me stop breathing. You can't do that. Your lungs are programmed for you to exchange these gases. It's already following this information, this code, this program. Your heart is already submitting to the law of your God, your Creator. So is every part of your organs. What is required is you to acknowledge this fact in your heart, the spiritual heart, and commit yourself in this recognition by declaring, yes, I agree, yes, I surrender, and show it through your actions. That is what is required for you to do. Islam is that simple. So we invite you to the next step of surrendering to your Lord, your Creator, fulfilling your obligation that you are created for. Do you think you are created in this life for vain, with no purpose, with no meaning? How do you judge? Are the ones that see and one that don't see the same? Are the one who is with knowledge and one who is not with knowledge are the same? They're not the same. So you need to ask yourself, why are you not fulfilling your obligations, fulfilling your duty and your purpose of life, which is to submit and surrender to your Lord, and that is your worship, your gratitude. If you do so, the message of Islam is that God has promised you what?
God has promised for those who believe and they follow God's messengers. He has promised them eternal life. He has promised them paradise. But for the disbelievers, the people who see the evidence of God, they see the evidence of God's messengers, yet they rationally do not want to accept it because they recognize it to be true in their mind, but it's not in line with their desire. Those people, God says, the disbelievers, will be in hellfire. This is something we do not shy away from. And even in this life, I wanted to give an example. Behind us you hear people talking about Palestine, and it got me thinking, why is it that in front of our eyes we see that the people of faith, when they are suffering, we see strength, we see power, we see will, we see tenacity, we see passion, we see determination, yet people who are raised on a liberal worldview, on an atheist worldview, on a materialistic worldview, they come across the smallest problem. They're walking down Park Lane and a pigeon drops on them, and that affects their clothes and they're upset. A small action, a small sickness, a little financial burden, and some people in the West commit suicide. Yet we have people who are under rubble, who are under pain, who are under torture, but they testify there's none worthy of worship except God. Why? Because faith shows its fruits, and faithlessness, godlessness, atheism and agnosticism shows the evil fruits that you will get. And what are those evil fruits? Your weakness, your laziness, your lack of determination. That's why we are calling you to the faith of truth, the faith of Islam, because it's a faith of strength. Why is it that strong figures like Malcolm X converted to Islam? Why is it that today Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world, and it's the religion of the youth, and it's the religion which, despite all of the media attacks, keeps going? It's because it is the truth.
And how do we recognize the truth? By studying, assessing, scrutinizing, and verifying it. When you study all the different isms and belief systems, religions and ideologies, because that's what you will do now. You will now question the very existence of so many differing and contradicting belief systems and ideologies and religions. And instead of being confused, you will take certain critical measures to eliminate the obviously erroneous and false ones. The religion which tells you worship a man, worship a rat, worship a tree, worship your desires, worship the creation, worship many gods, you will realize this is not the truth, because it will not make sense to you. It will not appeal to your heart and your mind, because truth will resonate with your heart and mind. When you realize the universe and the laws operating in this universe, you see the grand control of one controller. You see the grand design of one designer. If there are multiple gods, the universe will be in chaos, in ruins. Had there been more than one God, there will be corruption and ruin in this world. But the fact that we see how everything is in the precision as they are, the electron spins, everything rotates, determined by a singular controller, designer, creator. So the religion, the ideology, the belief system that says there is one absolute, independent, self-sufficient creator, free from all weaknesses and deficiencies and imperfection, is the one you should be seeking. And what religions could there be out there apart from the one and only? And what is that?
The religion that makes the most sense for humanity is the religion which is in line with your reason. What does Islam say about God? Islam says about God what the rational mind accepts, which is that there is one God who is worthy of worship, and that one God is nothing like his creation. Yet when you find religion today, it tells you a man is God, or an animal is God, or the blue sky is God, or the universe is God. But the one single religion which teaches you pure monotheism, true monotheism, is the religion of Islam. And the religion of Islam is something which came to call humanity back to something we already know, that there is none worthy of worship except one God. Because like Mansur said, it doesn't make sense that there are multiple gods. It makes sense that there is one God. So why should I worship before other than God? Why should we call upon other than God? Why should we love or pour hope or trust in a false deity when the one true God, the supreme God, the one who created us, the one who created the humble bee, the one who controls this universe, that God is the one who is worthy of worship, and that's the God that we are calling to.
The God that we are calling to is the God that you know and your heart and your mind will accept. This God is called by a name that your heart will recognize it must be Him. It doesn't accept a duality. It doesn't accept a plurality. It doesn't accept gender. So you cannot have a God now who is a father or a mother or many gods. Allah is the name name of your God. You cannot have many Allahs. You cannot have Allah S or whatever. You cannot have a son or a daughter or father or mother of Allah, because Allah is As-Samad, Al-Ahad. He is the one, the only, the unique, the one who is independent and self-sufficient, the one who is absolute, the one who doesn't produce or beget or generate another God, whether they be a son or a daughter. Neither is he begotten or produced or generated or born from other gods before him, and there is no likeness in whatsoever with this God. That is a God your heart and your mind will resonate to accept. Why? Because your heart already knows the true concept of God. So when you hear the Islamic concept of God, you know that is what we are seeking. That is what you are already wishing to believe, but you never heard of it because of the propaganda. The West and the East and the North and the South are so busy and preoccupied you to distract you from recognizing this truth. The distraction is so that if you became a Muslim, they will lose their benefits and their interest. They would not be able to run this multi-billion-dollar industry of alcohol, pornography, all of these vices that you know, but you still consume them. So when Islam will free you from the slavery of all of these things, it will bring you back to the worship of your Creator, what your hearts so desire. Instead of worshipping God, look what you've done. Because the fact of reality is, you are programmed, you are made with a psyche, a makeup in which you have to show reverence to someone greater than you in any form of appreciation. That is why you end up there when there's a gig, when there's a music festival, and you will do, even if that singer said, jump naked, you will jump naked. You will follow whatever they say. That is your reverence, your love, your respect, your gratitude, your ultimate connection that you are showing to these celebrities, pop stars, footballers, and the like. Why? Because in you already have the Sons of Reverence programmed. Instead of channeling this to show this to God, your Creator, you are misdirecting to those others that doesn't deserve your love and your respect and your utmost reverence. Because the only being that deserves your utmost reverence, which we say is worship, is only God and none else. That is the message of Islam. Freeing yourself from the bondages of worshipping everything else other than the Creator.
Absolutely. And I wanted to share something. If we have an idea, a concept, we need proof of that concept. We need proof that that concept works. And I want to make a challenge. And the challenge is to a worldview which was actually espoused here in Speaker's Corner. This worldview was a worldview of materialism, a worldview which was based on godlessness. In this very Speaker's Corner, over 100 years ago, Karl Marx stood and he called people to his worldview. I want to compare Marxism with the religion of Muhammad, peace be upon him, because what we know in the 20th century and the 21st century is both of these worldviews went head to head. Today, as we stand, we have over 100 million and people who have died under the Marxist regimes of the last 100 years due to the repression of state atheism. We had the oppression of Christians, of Jews, of Muslims, of Buddhists in Central Asia, in East Europe. We had these regimes which were trying to suppress religion. Yet today, what do we find? We find that the faith of Muhammad, peace be upon him, is back, and is back with fire. And we find that the Marxist ideas, the state atheistic ideas are dead. Why is that? That is because ultimately human beings are not meant to be materialistic. Ultimately, human beings are searching for something greater. Even in the motherland, even in the Soviet Union today, there is a resurgence of religion. There is a resurgence of the belief in God. Just in this park, I met somebody from Ukraine, a woman who was an atheist, and she was brought up with state atheism that the Marxists have taught her. But later in life, she came to believe in God. She's one example of tens of millions of people who turn back to God. But the turning back to God is not enough. You have to turn back to the correct concept of God, and the correct concept of God is that there's only one God worthy of worship, and that concept of God is what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught, which is why Muhammadism beats Marxism any day of the week, any century of human existence.
We, of course, do not call our religion Muhammadism. My brother just illustrated the difference of ideologies that these two respected individuals brought. So we do not worship Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We worship the God of Muhammad, and whoever worships Muhammad will be at a loss in hellfire. This is the message of Islam, that you turn back to the worship of God, God of all the prophets and God of all the messengers, because in this is your success and your salvation. So we want to leave with this point for you to reflect. When was the last time that you picked up a copy of the Quran, or you went to listen to a recitation of the Quran, or you went to read a translation of the Quran? When was it? If we see more than 1/4 of the world's population are Muslims believing in this book, that is their constitution, that is their book of guidance, the book that they follow to live their life by, more than 1/4 of the world population, and you have no idea what this book is about, what it says about God, what it says about you, what it says about death, what it says about hell and heaven. Yet you have read Harry Potter, you have read this book or that book. Why is it that your sense of priority is so low and misguided? You should have prioritized to pick up or read the Quran, to say, hang on, what's going on? What's going on?
Have you read the
Let
Quran?
me find out.
Yeah.
Let me find out. Why is this book believed by more than 1/4, a billion people in this world?
People aren't very good at evaluating things.
Why do they do that? And not only that, why do the educated class? Why do the educated class?
I understand your point. What did you say?
Why do women who are educated are becoming more Muslims in number compared to the uneducated or compared to men? If Islam is so much against women and women's rights, why do we have
Is Iran against
3 out of 4 people that becomes Muslim? That is 75%.
Is the Iranian Guardian?
Why Why is it, my friend, listen and answer this question. If Islam is so oppressive to women as the media wants to portray, I've not finished asking my question.
Go on, Ed. Go on, Ed.
If Islam as the what?
Picking it up.
I thought
That's the question.
I thought you were going to let me finish my question.
It's the question I've just predicted.
No, I thought you were going to let me finish this question.
Well, guess what the question is?
Yeah. So I'm asking a simple question, and I'm going to ask this question to a woman. If the society portrays Islam to be so much against the rights of women, oppressing women, why do 75% of the converts to Islam, or those who accept Islam, are educated women? Are you a woman?
That was a terrible question.
So let me ask this lady over there.
Are you a woman?
You didn't ask.
That was his question.
Actually, what is a woman?
That was his question.
The problem today,
Question.
the problem today is these simplistic narratives of love. Women are being oppressed in Islam, like this gentleman is alluding to, are things which don't fit in line with the fact that women convert to Islam. What is your question, sir? I don't understand your question.
In UK.
What's the number?
Oh, okay. Suppose now I was able to provide you the statistics. If that was true, what would be your explanation?
Yes.
No, that's amazing.
No, amazing isn't good enough. Because if
I'll give
Islam
you,
was oppressing women.
I'll give you a statistic.
There you go.
I'll give you a statistic. So, every single year, 100,000 people accept Islam through our organization alone, which is called IRA. No, around the world. Latin America, Africa, Europe, everywhere. In our conversions, over 60% are women. So the question is, why? If what he said, the question is, one second, the question, you didn't hear before he came. He said, if Islam is oppressive, why are they converting? That's the paradox that the liberals have.
Is Iran oppressive?
That doesn't answer the question that we posed.
It's a simple question. Can you answer? Is Iran oppressive to women? Let me ask you this.
There are many countries which do not implement the law of God. They will implement the law of man and oppress women.
I'll answer.
I'm answering. If Iran did not implement the law of Islam, and they oppress women but not allowing them to educate themselves, not allowing them to develop themselves as Muslims, if you find something like this, then you and I would agree this is not the teaching of Islam, and that is what the problem is. But in reality,
and your get out is that you're saying they're not Muslims. That's your...
Let me answer the question in a different way. Let me answer the question in a different way. Marxists oppressed women in Central Asia by removing their hijabs. So you cannot say, therefore Marxism itself overall oppresses women. That may or may not be true, but the actions of individuals does not make a difference. But anyway, let's get down to the what I said to you earlier.
so let me ask this shit. As we realize, Islam has been portrayed.
Brother. Just be quiet. Brother.
Let's do it.
Brother. Listen. Mansur.
So now the Sheikh, I'm asking the Sheikh.
Yeah.
If Islam is portrayed by the media, such oppressing of women, degrading of women, having no rights, the question I was asking is, why are women turning in Islam?
Now, not just only women, I'm talking about even Western women, because me working in many mosques in the UK, especially in London, like we have literally significant amount of conversion amongst women more than men. Now I'm talking about Western women, we're talking about European women. white European women who accept Islam. I'm talking about significant. Even today, a sister took Shahada. Who is a European woman. No, what I'm saying, if Islam oppresses women, why those educated women? I'm saying Islam doesn't at all.
That's the conclusion.
That's the conclusion, because there is studies. I'm talking about people who are. One second.
My question was, does Iran oppress women?
I'm not here to represent Iran. I am not here to defend. Listen,
it's a simple question.
I disagree with Iran.
But is Iran a Muslim?
Listen.
Is Iran a Muslim state?
Listen. I don't believe.
Okay, let me put it to you.
Iran is a Muslim state. Listen,
Wait.
I don't believe Iran is a Muslim state.
Go to the Iranian embassy and ask them.
That's my take. This is not here, not because of the women right. It's not because of the women right. It's because of the ideology in Iran. That's my point. So for me, that's something else. So for me, that's something. But we're not talking about Iran. We're talking about Islam as a whole, as a great thing, as a great religion, which many people accept Islam.
Islam exists in Iran.
Iran. Let me answer it in another way. Look, Iran is a state. They do not even understand the basic of Islam, that you do not call upon other than God. Everywhere you go in Iran, it says Ya Ali or Ya Muhammad or whatever. So no, let me answer your question. If Iran doesn't understand the basic concept of monotheism, you cannot expect it to follow any other ethical system. We're here to talk about women in Islam, not Iran. Carry on.
So going back now here.
Carry on.
Listen. I know you want to drive the discussion into a certain corner. We're talking about.
If you're interested, go to the Iranian embassy.
Listen. If you have, no problem. If you have, I am not here. I'm not Iranian. I myself, I'm not Iranian. None of us are Iranian here. We are not here to represent Iran, and I don't care about.
I was going to look away. If Islam is present in the world, and I was going to ask if that area.
Okay, talk about
Islam.
Let's talk about Islam exists in the West.
Some areas.
Let's talk about Islam in the West. Here, let's talk about it, because we are here. All of us, we live in London. We are in the West. Does Islam exist here? Yes. Now, we're talking about significant number of women who convert to Islam, very highly educated, people who are very highly educated, psychiatrists, doctors, engineers, professors, who accept Islam on a daily basis. Why they do it?
Because atheism doesn't make any sense.
I will tell you what, the media in the past, they tried to be manipulative against Islam, to do what? To turn people against Islam. And because of this, those women, after reading about Islam, and they discovered actually what the media is saying is totally inaccurate, it's totally against the teachings of Islam, and made them actually to accept Islam. So those media, the social media and the media in general, what they have done, they try to be an instrument to destroy the Dawah to Islam, and actually they became an instrument to bring people to Islam, because it makes the people to ponder about Islam. And I will tell you examples. For example, in September 11th, after what happened in the United States, it's actually the following year. It is the most year, the significant number of people accepting Islam. Can you imagine? In a time where all targets against Muslims, in the same year, in United States alone, many people accept Islam during that year. Why is that? Because they found all of these things, all these atrocities is not done by true Muslims. That's a key thing. So that's why we are saying to the people, Islam is represented by Islam itself, not by the people, not by countries, not by individuals. Islam is to represent itself by itself through the Quran and through the teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. That is the key thing. So that's why when you come to discuss with us about Islam, talk to us about the Quran, talk to us about the Sunnah, the prophetic teachings, peace be upon him. That is the key thing. Okay, good.
Takbir!
Allah Akbar. Now, you had enough questions. Shall we take questions from others? Any question from everyone here?
It's about Islam. I mean, the first question we would ask you is, if you're not a Muslim, we would like to know why you are not a Muslim.
No, I want to put it.
Are you a Muslim? Why are you not a Muslim?
Why are you asking me a question?
It's important to know.
By the way, let's give the other people the chance. Anyone want to ask about Islam? We are here to answer. We are here to answer about Islam. If you have any question before, and then if there is anyone else, then we'll